Hi, I am Roman Klemenko, a data architect from CluedIn. In this video, we will use the CluedIn Python SDK in Microsoft Fabric to send a sample of a large dataset from Fabric to CluedIn, clean data with CluedIn Clean, and then apply cleaning rules generated in CluedIn to a large dataset in Microsoft Fabric. Let's go. On my screen, you see a notebook I created in Fabric. It takes a TSV file with persons data from the IMDb dataset. Let's check the number of rows. There are about 13 million records in the file. Let's check the schema. It has a few columns, including the name, birth year, and death year. Let's create a delta table and ingest the records into this table. Quick check. The number of records in the table equals the number of rows in the TSV file. Let's prepare a sample of random records from the table we created. In the next cell, you can see a basic code that we can use to send the sample in CluedIn. Let's switch to CluedIn and create an ingestion endpoint. Here, we need to configure the endpoint's name and entity type. No data has been sent to our new endpoint. Let's view the instructions to find the endpoint URL. We also need to create an API token for authorization. Let's run the cell. It should send around 30,000 records to CluedIn. As you can see, the data is in CluedIn now. Let's do a basic mapping and process it. Okay, we can see that some records have already been processed and that more are to come. We can check the progress in the engine room. Let's check one entity. As you can see, the birth year is not specified. If we check all values available in the birth year vocabulary, the majority will have just a /n value. Now, we create a CluedIn Clean project and load the name data. The results will take some time to generate. Let's normalize the birth year and death year properties from the Clean project. Now I can process the changes. If we check the Rules tab, we can see that CluedIn generated a rule for each change I made in the Clean project. This, for example, replaces a value in the birth year vocabulary key. If I activate the rules, all new data will also be updated. Alright, now let's install CluedIn SDK. Import CluedIn, provide credentials and domain of our CluedIn instance. The last line gets a JWT access token that we will use to interact with the CluedIn API. So now we can get CluedIn rules with one line of code. But let's take just one rule that normalizes the birth year, copy its ID, and get the complete information about it. The return JSON has everything we need to use this rule outside of CluedIn. From the rules filter, we can create an evaluator that we can use to evaluate whether a given object passes the rules condition. Running the evaluator's explain method generates code like a DataFrame query. As you can see, CluedIn generated a rule that filters by a vocabulary key. To apply this filter to our delta table, we need to convert the names, which we can easily do by passing a property mapping lambda as a parameter. Now the query is valid. Let's test our evaluator on a simple object. Now we can apply our evaluator to the large delta table. In the filter, from the CluedIn rule, filters data in Microsoft Fabric. By the way, we can also dump data from CluedIn into a pandas data frame and use rule evaluators to apply filtering and transformation in our notebook. The same approach works for Databricks, pandas, or just Python code. This is it. Thank you for your time.